All right, some skin breakup, but not sure it's related. Hungry last night, but drank more water. Excellent. And if you want to detox a little bit faster, you can add some apple cider vinegar, some electrolytes. That'll help flush out. That's why it's important to have um, the right amount of electrolytes, the right amount of apple cider vinegar that acts like a detox. And let's see. So let's start off with this. Here's something. I love this video. It's a short video. I want to start off today with that. All right. You get the idea. I don't need to go through that. Right. I wasn't sure if it was frozen. I guess somebody said it was frozen. I think it's back on now, but let's see. Is it still frozen? Can anyone? Yeah, I think I could still see people moving, so it must be working now. All right. Gotcha. Sorry about that. We have a lot of people in this house. I've updated my router, but I guess I need to have boosters or something. And I've been not wanting to have those because I don't want the electromagnetic radiation. But it looks like I might have to because there's too many people with tablets. There's too many TVs in the house, and I guess you can't get out of it. That's why, one of the biohacking things is learning how to ground yourself, because we're around invisible toxins, electromagnetic radiation from cell phones, from cell phone towers, from all these things. They've said that kids that live or in schools, what do they do at school? School gets an extra 15 grand a month for a cell phone tower. What happens then? All these kids have mental problems. No one ever looks into that and says, well, maybe it's the electromagnetic radiation. And I was looking at school and the teacher's looking at me like, what are you looking at? I'm like, I'm looking at all the boosters and the routers and the up on the ceiling, they're flashing. Like, this is a bunch of electromagnetic radiation. And we wonder why the kids can't focus and function in schools. Like, this is a big issue and nobody's addressing that either. So if you want to live a healthy lifestyle, and this is why I called it the healthy me, is that you have to be aware of some of these components, realize we can't get rid of everything. You can't. And if you try to, you'll drive yourself nuts. But you can get rid of a lot of the stuff that's causing other people problems, and you can minimize it, which is like the light canceling glasses, shutting off the Wi-Fi units at night and getting an egg time. There's just so many strategies and biohacks to do that I can even start to go into those. But there are a lot of things that you can do to really, didn't see a video, but hearing you now. Okay. I guess it didn't go into that screen share video. I think I know what happened. Anyway, I'll share that video with you guys later on. I think this happened before one time. It didn't do the screen share through the video. There was an Eric Thomas video of how bad you want it. And it was him in a school. I think I gave the story the other day, but it was a kid that wanted to be successful. And he went down to this successful man in town, this guru, and said, I want to be successful. And he said, meet me at the beach tomorrow at 5 o'clock. And he dragged him out into the water, and the kid didn't want to go in the water. He kept making him go out further. And finally, when the kid was going to turn around and said he was crazy, he dunked his head underwater and he made him stay there until he almost drowned, until he stopped breathing. And he picked him up and said, what do you want? What did you want when you were underwater? And the kid's like, I wanted to breathe. He says, when you want to be successful as much as you want to breathe, that's when you'll be successful. And a lot of people, they want to sleep. They have other things to do. They want to party. They want to not give up adult beverages. They want to not give up caffeine. They want to not go to bed early. They won't want to hit the gym early. It's a bunch of excuses. But if you want results, long lasting, not just weight loss, but I'm talking about tapping into your genetics to live longer, having a brain that works better so you don't get neurodegenerative problems, or you have a better chance to not to, and enjoy your life and your quality of life. Because as we get older, we work hard. We work most of our adult life, 40, 50 years of hard work. And what I get to see is the effects of people not taking care of themselves. They retire and they fall apart. They got hip replacements and knee replacements and are on OxyContin, and they got on cortisone shots, and they're constantly going to the doctor, and they got the heart problems, and they got the mental health problems and the gut problems. That's what I'm trying to help people avoid, not just lose 20, 30, 40 pounds. That's a great thing. Get me wrong. But later on, you don't want to not know who the hell you are. You don't want to see people suffer. And that's what I'm surrounded by, because the majority of the people who should be coming into my office are the teenagers, the 20 to 30-year-olds, and the kids, to prevent problems. What everyone usually does is they wait till they get a problem, and then they come in and they try to fix the problem when it's really chronic or bad. And it's usually got a 10, 15-year head start. Same thing with doctors. People go with, heart disease, brain problems, mental health issues, autoimmune diseases are off the charts now. Those are chronic problems. MDs are great. I love them. I have a lot of friends that are MDs. They're not very good at taking care of chronic problems. They hate them. They've had a 2-head start, and there's only way to fix it or to manage it is through medication. And they don't like doing that any more than you like taking it. Now, there are ways to prevent this, and that's what we're going to drive into now, is how to, this was the 4-day. Well, I'm gonna probably do it on Saturday morning. I think at 8 or 9 o'clock to get a head start on it. I'm not going to do it tomorrow night. So Friday is going to be scratched off. And we'll probably do the follow-up on healthy habits and some more on the biohacking and just having clarity of purpose on Saturday. But for today, we're going into, hormones. This was a while, neurotransmitters, mental pause. I'm going to add that in there, and how these affect health. So here we go. Not a doctor-patient relationship. I do not treat, manage, or diagnose disease. Everyone's doing this on their own. If anyone has any concerns, they should consult with your primary care provider, MD, before proceeding. Questions and recaps from day 3. Stress and inflammation are bad for the immune system. And someone had brought in any suggestion for menopausal women. Can menopause hinder these efforts? Absolutely, because it changes your hormone balance. And hormones are like the liquid nervous system. That's what I call it, the liquid nervous system. They control everything. And there's tons of different types of hormones in the body. And some hormones are great when we're trying to have kids, which we need when we're younger. And then if you make too much of those hormones as you get older, they start to drive diseases. And really, some of the cancer treatments, most of them are geared towards slowing down the hormones. Like in men get prostate cancer, they try to give you medication that stops you from making testosterone. And so men get no muscles, they get very weak, they get cranky, but that slows down the hormones that drive the disease. And most of the diseases like, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, prostate, testicular cancer are driven by hormones. Hormones are good. As we get older, we make less of them. What are they advertising all over TV? Boost your testosterone. And now we've got fake burgers, which have so much estrogen and progesterone in it. It's like taking 5 birth control pills at a time. And what's happening is we've already been bombarded by hormones. So hormones, they inject chickens with hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Well, estrogen to give them bigger breasts and to make them lay more eggs. So if you're not eating organic grass-fed chicken, you're getting a lot of hormones in there. They say no hormones added. You know what that means? They put the hormones in the feed, and if the chicken eats it, they said they didn't add it. The chicken ate it. That's how they get around it. So when it says no hormones added, they're full of it. They put the antibiotics in the feed usually too, because they couldn't have that many chickens. They cut off their beaks, all the other bad stuff they do. And then we won't get into the pink slime, which is where all the fast food restaurants, whatever's left over, the beaks and the claws and the organs, they grind up into a pink slime, put ammonia and other junk to kill anything on it. And then they put it into layered patties that they send out to all the fast food restaurants. And actually, from what I've seen, even regular restaurants have it because it's way cheaper. And you can see the layers on it, and it's fake. It's ground up junk, whatever it is, but it's not real chicken. And who knows how toxic and where that came from, but it's not good. And they bleach it afterward to make it white. So then it gets it pink, and it makes it look a little bit more white like chicken. Just to let you know. And so hormones are important, but as our bodies age, the hormone balance gets different. But the building blocks to hormones are fats. And Mediterranean women do not go through menopause the same way that American women do, because they have a more rich, healthy fat diet with more olives, meat. They have, avocado. They have a richer diet. And the Mediterranean diet has a lot of healthy omegas in it, a lot of fish. And that seems to make a big difference in menopause, because as you age, you don't make as much hormones, and especially your pituitary and your thyroid and your adrenals and your ovaries. And the interesting part is all those organs are really lined with mitochondria, which we talked about before. When you start metabolizing fat and going on fasting, you start making way more mitochondria, which gives you more energy. And then when an organ has more energy, it's less likely to get sick. If an organ doesn't get enough energy, either through diet, which is the dietary nutritional part, and the nerves. They did studies on people who have pinched, like people who had gotten cancer. This guy, I I forget the surgeon, he wanted to see if there was a connection between spinal misalignments and degeneration and diseases. And 100 people donated their body to him, and he dissected the parts of their spine that went to the organs. So if it was like liver cancer, it's in the middle back. If it was thyroid cancer, it's in the neck. If it was adrenals, it's T11 in the middle back. If it's L3, it's the sex organs in men and women. Almost 100% of the time, there was misalignment and degeneration in the same segments that went to the organs that got sick. And he said that there was a connection, that's your energy, that's your lifeline. And if your nerves aren't flowing, and 10% of your nervous system knows what pain is, 90% of your nerves control function. So that's where when people say, oh, I feel great, I don't need to go to the chiropractor, I try not to be critical, but educational in the fact that they don't know what they're talking about. You need maintenance. We live on a gravity planet that pulls all our parts down, and those joints and segments get degenerated and have problems. And then when those nerves don't work right in those segments, they start to cause the organs and the cells to function at a less of a level. It starts off at 5% less function and 10%, and you won't notice it until it's 30 or 40% malfunction of something before you finally get it. And you could see it a lot on the x-rays. And I always tell people, hey, do you have any problems with your stomach? Do you have problems with your liver, your gallbladder? Do you have this? How do you know? Because the x-rays show that the nerves in there aren't working right, and that segment is going to crap. It's like a blown circuit. It ain't working. Upper neck is for brain function and brain flow and cognitive thinking and immune system and pituitary. It's just amazing. So inflammation and gut health are super important. Eating lower carb, having a balanced lifestyle, reducing stress impact, changing how we think about things, working on getting rid of the bad stuff out of our gut and adding the good stuff is going to reduce the toxins in the body and reduce the stress on the digestive system, which then reduces the stress on the nervous system. So how much sleep do you need with intermittent fasting? You don't need any more, but you might notice that when you reduce inflammation, that you get into REM sleep better. Your Apple Watch, which, analyze how much you toss and turn, and notice a lot of difference when people who get adjusted because they're more restless, they're relaxed. When you reduce inflammation, you start doing fasting and exercises, and also some of the biohacks that I know about, it starts to calm down the nervous system. And when the nervous system gets happy and the gut gets happy, then your whole life gets happier and better. And then you start attracting what you want into your life. And that's the laws of attraction. So I can find I can get 6 hours of sleep where a lot of people need 8 or 9. That's probably because they're not getting good quality of sleep and they're exhausted or they're not making enough energy. If your body gets enough energy, you don't need more sleep. That's for the average person. I mean, think about it. They compare everyone to the average. Now, some people might need 8 hours. Like once or twice a week, I will get 8 hours, but a lot of times I'll only get 6. Like I'm more tired if I get 8 hours. So from a biohacking standpoint, I'm getting feedback from my body. It don't want to sleep 8 hours a lot of the times. It wants 6 hours. It wants quality of sleep. I am not diabetic, but how do you recommend one handle having dizzy spell while trying to fast? Again, we got to replace, you wouldn't just go fasting. You want to go to 3 meals a day and then skipping one and then adding healthy fat to it and adding electrolytes, which offset. A lot of times what people have is a mistake, a dizzy spell or lightheadedness with blood sugar problems, where it's actually a detox problem. Your body's detoxing, which is why the apple cider vinegar and the electrolytes and drinking enough water offset the toxic load that's coming out, and you're flushing out more of the toxins through your pee. What happens? You don't have the side effects. Does protein break my fast? Absolutely. Do you have to exercise to lose weight? No, it's the least efficient way to lose weight. Is it important? Yes, it's important to reduce stress. Of course, if we work out, we're going to use our muscles and burn through sugar. I like to use workouts, your muscles give you a lot of the mitochondrial energy that you need. So when you build muscle, you feel better. And also you use it as a tool. If I want to have dessert at night, I can go work out afterward. What are you doing? You're burning off most of the sugar before it even gets into your system. So you go do some squats and bench presses and working out and some sprints. And what happens? You burn off all the sugar. Now the sugar doesn't accumulate in your system overnight and cause fat cells. There are ways to get around some of that. And you either have reasons or results. This is my logo. I made it. I have my hat, my rubber bands. If anyone wants a rubber band, by the way, you can come by if you're a patient, or I'll try to keep some in the office. I have white, pink, and red, black ones. And, anyone that's participated in this, if you want to. All right. I think I lost it for a second. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, I think it's got out of screen share too. So let me get this back into screen share, this and share. All right. So let me just make sure there's nobody in the waiting room. Nobody's reading and participants. Okay. So why are you doing this in the first place? What is your desired outcome? And without purpose, one cannot tell the difference between an opportunity and a distraction. I took a whole course on purpose, which is how to live a life of purpose. And that's why, when you have pain and pleasure, oh, when I feel good, I'll do this. And when I don't want to do it, I won't do it. That's not purpose. That's pain and pleasure. Purpose is you have a set goal or a set target, and then you live a life going towards that. Like, what is your desired outcome? I told you mine. See technology fly around in space and see an age. My wife is 6 years younger than me. My kids are very young, and I like what I do. I hope I can do my job till I'm 90, 95, or teach other people the right way to do chiropractic care, and also to continue to help people get healthy in a really sick world. That's what my desired outcome is. You have to have your why. Why do you want to live longer? Why do you want to be healthier? Why do you want to put effort and energy into doing and getting yourself healthy now? If you don't have a purpose, if you're a wandering generality, which means every shiny object you just reek towards, and that's what a lot of people do. Every little fad diet that's out there, and people think the keto diet's a fad diet. It's really not a fad diet. I mean, Atkins was a fad diet. This is not like Atkins, and a lot of people hate keto because they think it's Atkins. It's not. Atkins was, it got into ketosis, but he was high protein, high fat. It didn't matter what you ate. You could eat all the non-organic chicken, fish, and eggs, lots of bacon, lots of eggs, lots of meat, which was a lot of protein and a lot of fat. And I think those are bad combinations. And a lot of people got sick. A lot of people lost their gallbladders because they couldn't handle the fat load, because they weren't having enough vegetables. They were having too much toxins. They weren't drinking enough water. So this is not an Atkins diet. The keto diet can be used as a tool to make you not hungry. That's why we up our healthy fat. But I like metabolic shift diets, where we're going in and out of burning fat and sugar so that the body stays balanced, because that's how it would be in nature. Feast or famine. You eat a lot when you can find it, and you might go for days without eating. That's how it likes to be. It likes to be adaptable, and it doesn't like a set time to do everything, because when you get into that routine of doing it, that's when it gets used to it and it's not as effective. And that's when you start to mix it up by doing different things, doing things in different orders. And that's, my 10 cents on it. So what is metabolism? Basal metabolic rate. And can you boost metabolism? I don't think you can boost metabolism. I think most people's metabolism is crappy. They're not making energy properly, and that's the problem. You don't boost metabolism, you braise it up to where it should be. When we're young, we have a good metabolism. And then when you get older, you your metabolism and your basal metabolic rate, how much energy you make, goes down. And so that's when, if you're still eating the same amount of foods and the same kind of foods, you're going to gain weight and you're going to have problems. But I don't think in the word of it, you can boost metabolism, because what'll happen is if you start running, for 2 hours on the treadmill or going outside and exercise for 2 hours, then your body slows down its metabolism afterward to rest and catch up. And if you're too much of a decline of metabolism, which is basal metabolic rate, is like how many calories you burn in a day. That's how much heat that food emits. Actually, the definition of a calorie is how much energy it takes to, I think, raise 1 ounce of water 1 degree Celsius or something like that. It's very similar to that. And that's the definition of it. It's not like how much energy, it's not how much, if the food's going to make you fat or not. It's just how much energy it takes to raise 1 ounce or one gallon of water 1 degree Celsius. And so that's how they measured calories. And we already went over this, but European women do not go through menopause like women in America do. Phytoestrogens, soy, plants, omega-3 rich foods. Phytoestrogens are fake estrogens, and some things in soy and plants can mimic estrogen. So when people, like when guys get prostate cancer, sometimes they take more soy because they're taking more estrogen, which lowers testosterone levels. And when you have a rich diet of fish and omega-3s and soy and plant, you also, from what I've heard of every person who's visited Europe, that the food tastes phenomenally different because it's healthier. I swear to God, they must take the worst food in the world and ship it to our country, and we buy it, because you go elsewhere and everyone says, I've never been to Europe, but they say, you taste the food and it's so good. It has rich flavor. It tastes like it's alive again. And you taste it here, and they have to put spices and salt in it because it doesn't taste good. I don't know why that is. From what I've heard, they microwave a lot of the stuff that comes here because it lasts longer on a shelf life. And then it kills all the enzymes and all the good flavors, but it looks like broccoli. It tastes like broccoli, but it's not. And then they're putting that allure or something like that, if you've ever heard of that. And let me go to that. Let me see if I could find some of that. Not emission, but it's some kind of, he's asking people to stop eating meat, making the world a little more vegan, and they're putting up some kind of a, let me see, shield around food. Shield around food to make it last longer. You could look it up, but there's a new chemical thing. I don't know what's in it exactly, but they're going to start doing it to every fruit and vegetable in this country, including the organic ones. And they make it some kind of it's not a plastic shield, but it's an invisible like gel that they spray around it, the food, to make it airtight so it can last longer. And they say that 20-30% of our food goes rotten and we don't eat it. And that's why people don't have enough food. But who knows what's in the chemicals that are in that. And soon we're going to have to grow our own food or get grass-fed beef down the street, which is better to do in your local area. But even if you're eating healthy, you could be eating toxic. And that's why it's hard. The game's kind of rigged against us. And then you've got, this is a nerve, the receptors, the synapses, and the nerve releases neurotransmitters and have receptors. Think about this. What happens if these receptors are swollen and you've got too much inflammation from too much sugar, from too much toxicity? They're not going to work. That means your neurotransmitters, your dopamine, is not going to hit the receptor. You know what they give people? The neurotransmitter, like reuptake inhibitors, like dopamine reuptake inhibitor. That means that when these nerves release dopamine to hit these synapses, what happens when they do it? your body usually recycles it or disposes of it, and then it has to make more neurotransmitters. What dopamine reuptake inhibitor is, there's like little drains in here that allow you to drain out the dopamine once it's released. The dopamine reuptake inhibitors prevent that from happening, so the dopamine hangs around here more and it hits the nerves more. But what happens to the nerves? They became dopamine resistant, which means the drugs don't work anymore, and now they're not accepting dopamine. So what happens to those people after they've been taking something for a while? Now they're depressed even more. You didn't fix the real problem. So hormones and neurotransmitters. So A1C, menopause. A1C is that's a measurement of how much of your hemoglobin has sugar on it. When your liver is full of fat, your muscles are full of fat, and your cells are full of fat, it starts caking up on the red blood cells, and that's where you transport oxygen. So when a certain amount of A1C goes from like 5 to like 8 or 9, they say you have diabetes and your A1C, and they have to lower your A1C because you're reducing by 5 or 10% your ability to carry oxygen to your cells and make energy. That's why they want A1C, and their solution is take metformin, which pushes the sugar from your blood into your muscles. Well, it already was caked up in the muscles if it had that problem. And what happens now? Charlie horses, you get all kinds of other problems. You push the problem down the line and you never get to the cause of the problem. Menopause, we make less hormones as we get older, but our bodies, with diet, we can still get some of those estrogens into the system. And with the omega-3s and the fish and the high amounts of fish oil, we can offset a lot of that. And then also when you eat more healthy fat, it's helping to heal your thyroid, and you eat the right iodine, which has in fish as well. And it helps your thyroid work better, helps your body just function at a higher level. Dopamine, that's a building block. You need the right amounts of protein in the gut, and you need a healthy gut that allows you to build that. And the brain reward cascade, IMS, we went over that the other day, irritable bowel syndrome. And are many cancers driven by hormones? You bet they are. And neurotransmitters, where are they created and stored? A lot of them are created and stored in your gut, 80, 90% of them, which is why when anyone anxiety, depression, they have gut problems. And then the synapses get swollen, and you can see it's a big mess. Endocrine organs, pituitary, thyroid, thymus, pancreas, adrenals, gonads, endorphins are the body's natural painkillers. They're released by the hypothalamus up here in the brain, and the pituitary gland in response to pain and stress. This group of peptide hormones both relieves pain and creates a feeling of well-being. Let's say that you're on a higher carb diet and your brain starts to become leptin or insulin resistant, and the sugar or the fats is not getting into your brain. It don't work. And then your hypothalamus doesn't work. Your pituitary doesn't work. The building blocks to making those chemicals doesn't work. As you can see, this is what happens when people's brains start to decline. And then there's something called neuroplasticity. When you feed your brain the right neurotransmitters, the right healthy fats, it starts to rewire the neurons that get old and go around them so that they can still function. It's like adaptability. It's neuroplasticity, is the ability of the brain to rewire itself with neurons. It can only do that if you have a healthy diet and you're exercising and you're active and you're meditating and your brain's relaxed and your parasympathetic nervous system is working right, so you get more blood flow and nerve flow to your organs and brain. That's how that's supposed to work. And as people get older, they absorb less nutrients, their systems get older, their liver gets fat, their intestines don't absorb properly, their immune system's been taking a beating. Never mind, like when I first started 25 years ago, the average person came in on a history, have a couple things going on. Are you on a medication? Yeah. And they would know what they were. Now people have to pull their list out. They have to pull up their WebMD doctor list from their cloud from Hawthorne or St. Luke's. And there's 10 or 15, all of which mostly they're taken because one has a side effect, and they're taking this one because that one has a side effect. And again, I am not an MD. I am not telling anyone any advice on medication. They consult with their doctor, but I think it's out of control when people are on 12 to 15 medications, all of which have massive side effects, that the doctor should not be doing that. They should be finding solutions to people's problems more of a natural way, like I'm trying to do, but it doesn't seem like they're doing that. is dopamine produced in the gut? About 50% of dopamine is produced in the GI tract by enteric neurons and intestinal epithelial cells, and thus results in higher levels of dopamine in the hepatic portal vein. What neurotransmitters are produced in the gut? Serotonin, dopamine, and GABA, all which play a key role in mood. Many antidepressants increase the level of these same compounds. Amazing. You work on fasting, you get rid of the parasites in your gut, and you add some probiotics afterward, and boom, your mood instantly changes, your focus, your brain fog clears out. I had a guy who was on, cholesterol medication, which blocks the absorption of fat, not himself, gained about 40, 50 pounds, brain fog, wasn't focused, was almost going to lose his job until he started fasting and detoxing, and then went to his doctor and had his cholesterol checked, and his cholesterol is going down. So they got him off of some of that, and then he really cleared out. And it's amazing. GABA, which helps control feelings of fear and anxiety. How many people have that? What is fear? False evidence appearing real. And anxiety, that's a fight-flight response to the sympathetic fight-flight nervous system. And what we went back yesterday, you can't be in fight-flight and in parasympathetic rest and digest at the same time. So when you don't have enough GABA, your anxiety and fear goes off the charts, and then you stressfully eat more sugar and carbs and alcohol and booze and other things that aren't good for you. It makes it worse, and it's a self-perpetuating cycle. It's a mess. So here's a little bit of the endocrine system, some of the organs. You got the reproductive organs, the placenta acts like an endocrine organ during pregnancy, adrenal glands on top of the kidneys, you got the pancreas for blood sugar. Adrenals produce adrenaline and cortisol. If you make adrenaline, which is you have fear and anxiety based lifestyle for too long, then you start making cortisol. If you're making a lot of cortisol, it's all nearly impossible to drop weight, which is why the second half of my program focuses on mindset and overcoming fear and starting to change how you talk to yourself and working on your mindset and your beliefs and your limiting beliefs so that you can get out of that fight, flight, fear-based mindset, which is causing the cortisol and making it very hard to do anything off of that. The thymus. Then the thyroid and the parathyroid gland for making energy and metabolism, and then your pituitary gland, which, your diuretic hormones, your anti-ADH, anti-diuretic hormones, your growth hormones, the hypothalamus, the adrenals, and the reproductive organs, and the hypothalamus tells the pituitary what to do, and then the pituitary sends the hormones out, and then the pineal gland. Back here, pineal gland is for making melatonin, and again, if you have bright light, if you're exposed to it, you're not going to make melatonin, and melatonin comes from serotonin, and there's ways to boost up serotonin in the gut with certain supplements and foods that can help that. We're not going to go into that right now. And having a sense of purpose, moving more, creating value for others, leaving the environment better than we found it. Longevity. They've studied blue areas, which are areas where people live to 100 centurions, blue zones, I think they call them, where people, higher concentrations of people live to over 100. And they interviewed these people and asked them, what do? Women tend to live longer. They were coffee drinkers. 1 cup of coffee will reduce your chance of, a day will reduce your chance of cirrhosis of the liver by 60%. 2 cups will be like 85%, and 3 cups is like 90%. Those like chocolates, they have polyphenols, they help to flush out toxins out of the liver. So they were coffee drinkers. They drink enough water. They move. They weren't excessive exercisers. Hardly any really hard end athletes who do CrossFit or are professional athletes and work out a lot and intense hardly ever make it to 100 or even over 90. They wear themselves out. So they walk a lot. They move around, they do yoga, and they stretch and Pilates. What else did they do? They got good night's sleep. And the big thing is they had a sense of community and a sense of purpose. They gave back to the community. They went back, and in European towns, the elders give like talks during the day, once a week, to people, and to giving them advice in the younger generation from experience. Just like me, would you rather, if I was just starting, I wouldn't be saying this, but would you rather go to a doctor who's seen, 100,000 people plus in his lifetime and is in 25 years into practice, or would you rather have someone who just came out of school, has no experience? We know what the answer is. You'd rather go to people with experience. And the more experience you have, the more you learn, and you understand what works and what doesn't work. This is what drove me to even start this program, because I seen so many people suffer in my office from all the same kind of problems. And I feel like I'm helpless. I'm adjusting them, which is helping them, but they don't hold their adjustments. They're always out of alignment. They're always going back to chronic pain. And some of these chronic symptoms just don't seem to go away. That's where the lifestyle part comes in, and creating value for others, thankfulness and moving more and having a sense of purpose. And what is biohacking? Can you optimize your brain and body and how it functions? I believe you can. Hacking into our biology to see what works for us. Biohacking is the art and science of changing the environment around you and inside you so that you have more control over your own biology, which equals adaptability. And the key word in chiropractic and in this program is adaptable. It should be like the adaptable lifestyle. I might even change it to that name over unfair advantage. I have on my sites, I'm going to get back into podcast interviews. If you've never seen my podcast, it's called Healthy, Wealthy. That's why. And it's about, that you can build health and wealth at the same time, and you need a why to do it. And it's interviews with people on subjects of health and wealth. I have 20 episodes up. They're up in Apple. I intend to interview a lot more people. And then with that knowledge and what I've done with these programs and what I've learned, I intend to write a book about this longevity and biohacking and bringing it all together from a nervous system hormone standpoint into my own kind of program. So and it's going to be really about adaptability. So biohacking, using lifestyle, routines, habits, environment, gadgets, supplements to get an unfair advantage in life. Like, an environment, like, can you hack into your biology to age slower? We know that epigenetics, it's not your genes that you're dealt with, it's which genes get activated, and based on how toxic your body is, it can influence which genes get activated. That's what longevity is. And there's a whole bunch of research and things coming out. And people tend to flock, like a lot of people flock to keto, and then they flock to biohacking. And now it seems, biohacking, most people don't even know what that is, but now it seems to be going into longevity, because once an industry gets saturated, it's like the next thing comes along. It's all the same thing. You can do it all together. You can lose weight, have more energy, work on living longer, become adaptable, get your gut healthy, all with simple steps if you just have to know how to do it in the right order. Can you improve your adaptability? Absolutely. Can you make your brain work better? Absolutely. Can you create more energy than you need? Absolutely. Can you use these to create more value or money and be more productive than other people? Absolutely. When your brain starts to work better, I'm telling you, if you ever decide to do my program, by about the third, fourth week, you start to really get the brain fog out. And you better have other things to do, because a lot of people don't do the things they want to do because they're inhibited by their lack of energy. It's not just lack of motivation, it's they don't make enough energy. And then their brain shuts down and they have no motivation. You start to get motivation and energy and drive. All of a sudden, it's like you live with purpose, and you better have the next thing to do. Like we go over that in my program. It's called the Getting Shit Done Guide, GSD. And our 30, 60, 90-day goals are 1 year, 5 year, and 10 year. Where do you see yourself? I have some things on my list, like I want to learn how to play the guitar, and I want to learn how to build a computer. And I have things on my list that I want to get to, and they're coming. And, still running half marathons. I don't know if I'm going to do it anymore, but up until 50, still having a decent time, still playing basketball with my boys, still can go skiing. I can do everything more than the average person can. And it's funny because I go to the track where my son's playing football, and most people are sitting in chairs, either watching or socializing. Me, I'm running around the track with my son on his bike. We go running around the back of Quinn in the school. You're staying active, doing some push-ups and sit-ups, and the average person is just sitting there. Now, if they're talking to their friends, I get it. And you're not going to do that every night. Some nights you're tired. but move it. If you don't move it, you lose it. What's the old saying? Late to bed, early to rise, move your ass and exercise. So can you reduce inflammation? We know we can. We've already proved that we can. Can you reduce hunger? Yes, cravings are hormonal. Can you improve memory? Yes, neuroplasticity. The brain works better. You get more blood flow to your brain and more oxygen, and reduce insulin and leptin resistance to the brain. It starts to work better. Can we live until 120 and be fully functional? I think you can. Can you make the nervous system adaptable through chiropractic, acupuncture, supplementation, far infrared saunas, removing electromagnetic fields, working on forgiveness and letting go of stuff that doesn't suit us? Absolutely. We can do all that. Can we get to the point where we are more in control of how we respond to things and not get triggered by everything? It's not what happens to us, it's how we respond to what happens to us. You can spit in my face, but you can't make me mad. You can listen to that again. You can spit in my face, but you can't it's impossible to make someone mad who doesn't want to get mad. The person has a choice. If someone spits in certain people's faces, their blood pressure goes through the roof. They could have a heart attack or a stroke, and they get bright red, beat in the face and pissed off because their beliefs were, that's disrespect and I'm not going to let that go. Whereas somebody else, like, it's just spit. I don't care. 10 years ago, I was like on a mission to educate and maybe shove down people's throat the principles of health and chiropractic care. And I was forcing it because I felt I was on a mission, like the Blues Brothers on a mission from God. I felt I was on a mission to make New Bedford and the South Coast the healthiest place on the planet to live. And then I realized really quickly that most people don't want to change, and that I was getting my energy and mojo sucked out of me with disappointment and frustration because I was forcing it upon people who wanted no part of it. And then I had to start talking to my coach and my mindset coach and saying, you be the example that you want to show. And then the people that want to join your style of life will join you, and the people that don't will not join you. And then your job is not to cure the world and make people healthy. Your job is to educate the people who want to be educated and help the people along who want to be educated, whatever level they are, the free level, the paid level, the chiropractic level, the healthy lifestyle level, whatever. And your life will be a lot easier and you can sleep better. It was right. It was mindset. I was draining myself out, feeling I was responsible for everyone's health. And I was disappointed if I wasn't getting health. It's not my job. It's not my job to argue with people whether medication's good or bad, whether the vaccine, whether the pandemic was planned or not. It triggered a lot of people to the point where it stressed them out for 2 or 3 years in such fear that their nervous system might not recover and it's still processing. I never seen so many chronic pain, gut problems, autoimmune problems, hip replacements, heart problems, inflammation, just across the board. It's been horrible. And I think it's a lot to do with the stress. I wouldn't blame it just on COVID. If COVID was a foreign, man-made, lab-made bacteria, it's going to cause massive inflammation if you have it, especially if your body already has inflammation. And if it's already got a good balance, it's not going to get overreacted. So we got to change the way we look at things. And when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So instead of saying my headaches suck and my sciatica sucks, well, my body's trying to tell me something. Let me sit back and see. Let me see. I hate everyone at my job. I hate my job to no end. And my body's giving me pain. So I don't think of my hate for them, because if I think of that too long, I'm going to have a heart attack or a stroke. That's how you start to change the way you look at things. If we could get into REM sleep faster and longer and need only 8 hours of sleep, what if you only needed 6 hours of sleep and the other 2 had an unfair advantage over other people? What is mitochondrial optimization? Cellular health. How do you make the cells healthier? How do you make the cell membranes healthier? How do you make more energy centers in your cells so that you can make more energy than the average person can? I think I have the program to do that. Build an immune system. Diet. The order you eat food in. I'll give you, if you had a plate full of broccoli, rice, and meat or fish, what do you eat? And in what order do you eat them in? Does the order you eat them in affect anything? Hold on, I'm going to answer that question in a second. Let me get my phone and see if anyone online is asking any questions. Okay. So does anyone know? You want to put in the comments, like what order would you eat them in? Would you eat them in a certain order? Let me see if there's anyone on here. Yeah, there's 4 people on here. I just spit. It happened today. All right. Still don't see anything. Oh yeah, I know what you missed. And just it happened today. Other people behavior have nothing to do with me. It's not my job. Nothing else. All right. So a couple people watching. Excellent. If you guys have any questions, if you're watching in from Facebook Live, I'll look at it periodically, but I'm mostly focused on the people that are on this call on the Zoom meeting. So the order you eat food in, what do you eat? If you have steak, broccoli, and rice or pasta or something like that, what do you eat first? The research says that some people's logic was eat the protein and the fat first, and then they'd eat the other stuff. But really, the broccoli, the fiber is what really blocked the absorption of the sugar, and it lowered the blood sugar reaction by like 25% if you ate the broccoli first. Now, if you put some butter on that broccoli, it even slowed it down. Just like if you put grass-fed butter in corn and rice, it'll slow down some of the absorption of the carbs. And like things like what's from an inflammation standpoint, what's better, brown rice or white rice? Does anyone want to answer that one? Nutritionally, I know which one's healthier, but from a inflammation and blood sugar response, the white rice is actually better because it's bleached and they got the fiber out and the B vitamins, but rice has stuff that causes agglutination, which is a sticking together of red blood cells. So I always order white rice now when I go to a restaurant because I get plenty of fiber from the vegetables, and I'd rather use the white rice, which has less of an inflammatory effect if I'm going to have it. What types of foods do you eat? Do you have a protein-free day? What's your macros? What percent protein, fat, and sugars do you eat every day? Do you have a set amount? Because if you vary that amount, it'll have a better effect on you. When do you eat your proteins and fats and sugars? In the morning and at night? When you work out, what type of workouts? What time of day? How long? Do you ever go in the hot shower and then work out? Do you go in the cold tub and then work out? Or do you go work out and then do the cold tub? Does that make a difference on how much fat you're going to burn and how much metabolism or how much blood sugar you're going to burn? Absolutely does. How much water do you drink? Do you, like, I have a reverse osmosis filter, but I thought that was the best water filter on the planet. It is, but it sucks all the minerals and good stuff out of the water. So you have to add minerals to the water afterwards. So well water would probably be the best with a filter as long as it still has some minerals in it. But if you have RO, you have to put your own minerals back in. That's why the electrolytes or the pH drops or the apple cider vinegar work so well with that. So how long do you work out? Is it better for fat burning? Like, where's your heart rate? Is it better to work out? Like, there's fat burning heart rates and there's cardio building heart rates. And a lot of people don't know the difference. That if you're burning in cardio, then you're running on the treadmill at a higher pace and your heart rate's higher, you're actually not in fat burning mode. And then there's a fat burning heart rate, and then there for your age, and there's a cardio heart rate. So how you work out and strategically slow down a bit could be even better. That's why I like HIIT workouts, which is you get your heart rate up and then it comes down, and then it goes up and then it comes down. Tabata, HIIT, certain kind of exercises, having enough rest, how much water you drink, electrolytes, apple cider vinegar, cold weather training. What time do you go to bed? Do you ever wear a glucose monitor, a continuous one, to find out, like, all right, what's the alcohol that spikes my blood sugar the least? What kind of foods am I sensitive to? There's fit tests that I have access to, food inflammation tests. We went over that the other day. You can test all these things. And here's the good news. They might sound very complicated. It's not. Depending on, if you're not that bad, you don't need to do all that. If you've got a major problem like autoimmune problem, if you're really diagnosed with something not so good and you're sick and lupus or RA, you'd have to do that even more. But once you know how your body works and how it's sensitive it is to certain things, then you can avoid those things. You don't need to test them all the time. And you can have a system that, this is the food that agrees with me. This is the food that doesn't. And a lot of people don't know what that is. They've never done an inflammatory test. They've never had their metabolic syndrome tested by blood, or their metabolic blood tests to find out your cholesterol and your triglycerides and the percentages of those. There's a lot. So biohacking, improving in human advancement, performance, and longevity. Supplements to help us sleep, improve memory, reduce hunger, detox faster, CBD, ginkgo biloba, nootropics. How much EPA and DHA do you need to reduce inflammation? Which one does EPA or DHA? Which one is good for your brain? Which is good for inflammation? How much do you need to take? These are the things that you need to dive into. And this is what you have a coach who could give you the answers to some of those more in detail. Gut health, digestive enzymes, probiotics, fermented beverages, intermittent fasting, working on getting rid of parasite removal, gadgets, far-infrared sauna, grounding devices, heart rate variability. Brain tap is another thing that's out there now. That's like a glasses, and it has a beeper, almost like the EMDR that the therapists are doing now. I knew about this way before they were doing it, the EMDR, and that's like the brain tap, and it beep, 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 and you can control it, and it has light stimulation to help you calm your brain down and to focus on memory. Going outside and grounding, walking around barefoot to remove electromagnetic fields, resetting your circadian rhythm in the morning, cold weather training, reducing inflammation, improved immune system, improved fat burning. Fats also block the multiplication of bacteria and viruses. It's all there. Slower cellular vibrations. Can you slow down how your body vibrates? Can you use tuning forks and solfeggio frequencies on your speakers to slow things down? You can. Remove LED exposure, brands of foods and coffees. Which are the best brands? Which are the best powders? Which are the best cacao powder? Which is the best mushrooms that lion's mane and cordyceps to make your brain work better? There's a lot. That's why it's hard to do these, and I used to have a 4-week challenge. There was too much information. I was trying to cram it in, and it didn't work out. Reducing toxicity in the household. People get checked for radon and black mold and lead-free paint and painting over it, light canceling glasses and grounding mats and just fasting apps and apps to make our lives easier and watches that give us feedback. We've never lived in a better time than to have access to information that couldn't be measured before. And workouts, mixing things up to improve adaptability, cardio versus fat burning, isometrics, plyometrics, stretching, high weight, low reps, low weight, high reps, how to work out your body so that it's constantly growing. The body and nervous system do not like the same thing all the time, and they will get used to it and plateau. Changing the way we do things will prevent us from getting stuck doing the same things. It also helps the body from getting hurt as we are changing things up. There's a lot of sports injuries of people who play one sport because they're repeatedly doing the same exercises. Whereas people who are 3-season sport players get hurt way less often. So they play basketball, they play soccer, and they might play track. They're doing different things, or hockey and football. Mixing it up is better than playing one sport all the time. The easy part is losing weight, getting in shape. The hard part is staying there for the next plenty of years and having your relationships, your business, your spirituality improve as well. Working on balance. You can't work on your business and making money and then neglect your kids and your wife and your relationships and your mom and dad and your business and not remember to meditate and not working on. We need money. We need energy. We need to have our health, and we need to build these in pillars, because if you built a 4-pillar house and one of the pillars was off, that house is going to be a mess. It's going to be tilted. That's how most people's lives are, is unbalanced and tilted and ready to fall off. And the body and brain get used to the same routine. So switching things up is the key to growth and not plateauing. And when is enough enough? Organized planning, intention, decision making. What is it to live a healthy lifestyle? Why are we doing it? Managing inflammation. And this is the kind of things that we need to do. Now I'm going to get off of that. And now we're going to, where's that? It must be under here somewhere. Yeah, here we go. Stop screen share. And now I'm going to go to the questions that are on here. All right. So there's an order. I just can't remember what it is, Julie. Yeah, there's an order, but a good coach, a good program will try to make this easy to do, not more difficult. And in the beginning, it might feel overwhelming, but there's a method to the madness. And once you get through it, the whole idea is to make your life simple. Like, with me, with fasting and having the high fat coffee and being in a metabolic shift diet and reducing insulin, I'm not hungry all the time. I could be around food now and dessert and things. And when you're not hungry, you don't pick at it and crave. You just don't do it anymore. It's like a bad habit. It's an addiction. And once you get over that, life is so much easier because now you're not going and doing all these things. And you make it simple. Simplicity is the key to success. It really is. And making it simple and giving you little things to do. Drink 100 ounces of water, start fasting longer, work on water. Then when we get that down pat, and then we start to work on our mental health and our journaling and meditation. And people don't like to journal because they don't want to write all this stuff. You can have 2 lines. Remember, done is better than perfect. 2 things that you did. And then on top of it all, it's accountability. Without my coaches, I would have never been where I am because I did not have the accountability and the why, and I had no one to answer to. And that's the key of it also. Being around a community of like-minded people and growing together has helped motivate me. There's been times I didn't feel like showing up on my meetings. I have to. I'm committed to it. And then I loved it because it was like exactly what I needed in that meeting and the people and the questions that they had. So there's an order. I just can't remember it. Let me see if there's anyone that has a question on here. Let's see. Did anyone have any more questions? I know a couple people are online listening in. Yep. Okay. All right. So Darlene, Jennifer there, a couple of other people. Awesome. So kept you guys long enough. Don't want to ramble on. My meetings on my 12-week are try to be a little bit shorter than these. I just have a lot of stuff to go over on these. I have the set things to go over so we can go on. And I also do probably about 3 or 4 at least daily videos on little things that I pick up during the week. On those little 5-minute videos, I have about 30 preset videos on how to prepare food buyer's guide list. We show people, I don't want to just tell people and show people. On my Vitamixer, I show you how to make high fat coffee, how I make my coffee, the coffee grinder that I have. I was for a while, I was into making slow churned organic ice cream from scratch from a healthy high fat. And I got over that after a while because it is effort. But Primal Kitchen and things like that have made a big difference on sweetened ketchup and which supplements work better. And, there are supplements to help you accelerate this and get out of, there's supplements that act like metformin and that are almost as effective, if not more effective, with way less side effects. And they help the gut membrane. It's just amazing that nature provides everything that we need if we know how to use it. And that's what, this kind of program would do, is just help you clarify and also clarify what your why is. A lot of people who have done my program came in here for weight loss. But what they didn't realize is that they were off purpose. They weren't leading a life of purpose, and their beliefs were contradictions. And when they realized that, they started attracting the right things in their life. Like, life is a struggle if you're off balance. And if life's a struggle, that means you're whatever you're putting out, you get back. If inside is a struggle and is chaotic, you're going to get back chaos. And if you start working on balance and positivity, even if it's doesn't feel natural at first, you fake it till you make it. And then what happens is you start to realize like, wow, it's been my thinking and the way my beliefs that are attracting all the bad things in my life. And when you get rid of those, boom, just like with parasites, you get rid of the parasites and now the good stuff can grow. When you get rid of the limiting beliefs and thoughts and start replacing them with positive and affirming who we are and getting our mojo and power back, like you'll find that the diet part is a small part of that. And the big part is just the mindset and learning how to live a life of purpose. Anyway, everyone, I am going to end this. Oh, I forgot to hit the record button. That's all right. Still recorded on here. So everyone have a good night. I'm going to end this right here. End meeting for all. And you can have your questions online if you have any more. Thanks for participating, and we'll see you on Saturday. And I will put up the time for Saturday.